I'll point something out to you. So they have roughly a 10,000 gold lead at like almost or 23 minutes, okay? I just want you to... Where did I called SKT moronic at one point, and apparently a lot of people had a problem with that, but that's because they are being pretty moronic. They are a top 3... well, currently they are a top 3 team in the world. They are the world champions, coming straight off of Worlds. Alright? And you're against a complete amateur team. Alright, now, this team has 3 high-ish elo players, and then 2 pretty bad players. Alright, and all the advantages considered, okay, like, we look at the team compositions, alright? Kennen without Flash, or Lee Sin, or Vladimir, any of these people, okay, Malzahar is just going to completely shut down. There's no real ability or way in. The other problem was that Blank's itemization was okay, but it could have been a lot better. Given that you look at this team composition, and they have 4 sources of magic damage coming out for them, right? It's extremely easy to actually itemize against this team composition as SK Telecom. Jace is basically able to go Mercury Treads for free. He can then go Maw of Malmortius for free as his first item. He can even go Scimitar against this team. Because they have the stun on Kennen. You can cleanse the knockback, I guess. You can cleanse the Hemoplague. You can cleanse any sort of a root from Chandong's Karma. You could even go Scimitar, which is very, very bizarre, and I mean, that gives you penetration as well, so that's not super bad against this team composition, because a lot of the ways that this team is going to actually itemize is not going to have a lot of armor. So Ashe, Olaf, and Jace are already at an innate advantage because they don't actually have to itemize too much damage to start doing damage to this team composition. And Fire Rain's itemization was a little bit bizarre given SK Telecom's team comp. So anyways, this is classic #1 mistake. So SK Telecom goes for Dragon. There is absolutely 0 chance and possibility that Chungnam can actually burst the Baron relative to their items and relative to their team composition. So it doesn't make any sense why SK... See, this is one of the biggest mistakes, and this is a very cookie-cutter, classic mistake that sometimes pro teams make. And to see SK Telecom making it is even more disgusting because it just doesn't make any fucking sense. They can burst the Inferno Drake right here. You have Ash Arrow, and you don't even need all 5 members to actually burst the Inferno Drake, so you notice how Prophet is actually already in mid lane? This means that if KCN tries to go to Baron, they're gonna eat like 3 Jace Shock Blasts before they even start the Baron. And that's just them getting into position. Following that up, Wolf doesn't need to be too close to them to start to cast his ultimate, and at that point, Faker could cast Ghost from like 3,000 units away and get into position, and KCN would just absolutely throw the game. So the fact that they don't just choose to kill the Drake here, and instead they go for a very coin flippy play in mid lane, where honestly, even if they connect an arrow, it's very, very rare for them to ever actually find a kill without having to over-invest into their summoner spells. So yes, SK Telecom are being morons in this situation. That's #1. #2, when they send Faker to bottom lane randomly, I'm going to show you what the hell's going on, because I'm pretty sure that's when I make the comment. So you see everything that's going on, and they're posturing actually for 3 minutes. Okay, now why a team like SK Telecom with a superior team composition and an Inferno Drake and being as far ahead as they are and having a Malzahar is taking this long? And the reason that I have to point out the Malzahar is because if you don't know, Malzahar grants your team immunity to neutral objectives such as Dragon and such as Baron, because the Voidlings keep spawning and they never actually run out and die, so you're not forced to tank the Baron at all, thus enabling 2- and 3-man Barons to occur if you actually have the items to kill it. And yet SK Telecom never goes for any sort of a Baron bait, despite having summoner advantage at numerous points, and KCN being under severe amounts of pressure to actually try to find a way to make something happen because of the inability to contest Prophet in the bottom lane anyway, which we'll see over and over. Kennen just can't do anything against Jace. So yes, again, SK Telecom are being morons relative to their advantage, and you're absolutely ridiculous if you think a team like SKT doesn't know how to play such an advantage, because we've seen them do it before, and why they're being so cautious against such an amateur team that they know clearly that they're outclassing. It's only reasonable to assume that they're outclassing them. It's just fucking bizarre. So anyways, this is happening for a while, and you see Jace down here in bottom lane. You see the HP on Wute. He has red buff. He's obviously going to shred this tower pretty quickly. And then when Kennen is recalling, okay, and yes, he has flash, for some reason they get the they get the notion that, hey, you know, we should take this team fight, even though it is completely impossible at this point for them to stop the raising of their bottom tier 2 in inner turret and bottom lane. But yeah, let's try to take a 4v4, even though Kennen has teleport, and you know, there's maybe a chance that he can get some sort of a good teleport off, and we could completely botch this fight unnecessarily, even though we're not the ones under pressure currently, and they are, because there's a red buff Jace in bottom lane who is absolutely enormous. But okay, so this happens, and I think it doesn't start super bad, but you can see the problems with Olaf because he's a terrible fucking champion. And then Faker gets caught up, and look what happens. This team fight happens completely unnecessarily. Jace, who should have been able to pressure bottom lane turret, and now this is the other point, is if you don't go as hard as you do, and Wute channels his teleport, what ends up happening is that you gain teleport advantage in Prophet, in the bottom lane, who has red buff on Jace, which means that he can just absolutely shred the bottom lane inhibitor turret. So why they are not just electing to Baron dance and force KCN to use their teleport preemptively, trying to start some sort of engagement, and then using the Nami ultimate and the Ashe ultimate as a disengage to gain favorable position? Because even if KCN forces them back and forces them to use the Nami ultimate and the Ashe arrow, it's not like they can actually entertain or threaten a Baron. They just don't have the damage for it. We're 25 minutes into the game. They have one Inferno Drake, and you look at their team composition. It's not like they have like any sources of true damage or ways to raise that Baron really quickly, and then Jace just gets the inhibitor for free. No, but instead SK Telecom chooses to fight this completely clownish team fight for no reason. But even though they're doing that, I want to point out just how disgustingly strong Prophet is, and how he essentially just one combos everyone on KCN. But, you know, SKT is not being moronic. No, absolutely, no, clearly not. No, this is acceptable play out of the reigning world champions. Yes, indeed. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, good. Glad I know that. Glad we're watching the same fucking game. So, you know, after that, you know, disgusting team fight, Dragon coming up in a minute and a half, and you clearly just saw that Chungnam cannot actually fight you, and they cannot actually do anything to you. What do we do next? Ah, yeah, let's just fucking send Faker to bottom lane, because that makes sense. Guy doesn't have Ghost, doesn't have Teleport, doesn't mean that anything's really going to happen. Sure, he's going to get free farm, but why do you need free farm at this point? You can use Ashe arrows and Nami ultimates, given the fact that Faker can just lock down any sort of attempt from Kennen to make a flank or a play on your team just simply by pressing R, and given how gimped he is on itemization, you can probably just delete him because Jace is right next to Malzahar. So, yes, SK Telecom are being fucking morons. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We are not watching the same game clearly if you think otherwise, and it's not acceptable. Holy shit. It's so sick. And so anyways, they continue to take an over 10,000 gold advantage, and the game manages to actually go on for a few more minutes before the inevitable finally just occurs, and they run over their opponents. Yeah.